Welcome to the Glitter Boom Girls podcast. I'm Robbie Ann McPherson on the East Coast.
And I'm Amy Asbury on the West Coast.
So today we are talking about birthdays. That's right.
You say it's a birthday. It's my birthday too.
Yeah. I always think of 16 Candles. I know you're supposed to think of the Beatles.
The only thing I think of is 16 Candles when Farmer Ted is
Yeah,
starts
Farmer
getting into
Ted.
it and playing the drums on his, and she's like, stop.
Right. She's like,
Such a
all
dork.
right, I'm over
Please,
it.
embarrass yourself.
Yeah. So we were talking about what to talk about for today, and we thought that this would be a fun topic because, when you're a kid, birthdays are a big deal. And as you get older, I don't know about you, Aim, but as I get older, I'm just sort of meh, honestly, about my birthday. How are you now about birthdays?
I haven't in the past few years, but I have been for maybe 6-7 years, from about 38 to about 40 something. I don't know, 45. I don't know. I've threw giant parties for myself, which is so tacky.
No, I love it. I love it.
Giant slumber parties for myself that look like Katy Perry videos or like JoJo Siwa videos. Ridiculous. Like champagne. It looked like a rap video, but like a wholesome version. Yeah. Everyone's wearing like vintage nightgowns with ribbons, but they're like completely wasted, just like basically moms from my neighborhood, PTA moms who like need to get out, like myself.
Right.
And I would just throw these giant, but with crazy loud music, like a club. It was just insane.
So it wasn't like the Sandra D in Greece. Yeah.
I did use them on one of my invitations. I would send out hard copy invitations in like neon pink envelopes. And it would just be like these ragers. And people were like, you invited 200 people. I'm like, yeah, but only half show up every time. My sister would be like, how are these people going to park on your street? I'm like, they're not all going to show up, And I still have some, let's just say, stains on my carpet from some very nice moms who I see at this grocery store. And they don't remember making such stains.
They like sloshed on your carpet?
Yeah, they sloshed and they don't even remember. I'm like, hi, so-and-so, I love you to death. But really, really fun, just like towers, but it definitely is tacky to do that. But I figure from treating all of my guests, it's a good way to have a birthday.
I disagree. I think that it's like not only so Amy Asbury to, like throw a pink ruffled vintage rager, for an adult birthday, but I think it's great for grown-ups to celebrate a birthday with the enthusiasm that you do when you're a kid. Because let's face it, the reason that we get, or at least I'll speak for myself, the reason I'm so meh about it is because once you hit a certain birthday, let's see, I'll just call it 29. But once you hit a certain birthday, you're just like, and you try to, and I mean, my world might be different. Like, I tried a little bit, maybe 10 years ago to get something going, like invite people out or to have some kind of gathering or whatever. But man, people just punk out. They punk out of everything. Like they can't even stand to, meet you. It's like a 50-50 if they'll meet you for dinner, oh, you know what? Would you mind if we cancel tonight? I'm just so beat, like you just hear that all the time.
Well, I have a theory on that.
Oh,
and the way I drum up interest for these giant parties that normally somebody would be like, I'm not going to that, is I start promoting. My birthday's in September. I start promoting in March, and I do like a promo video, and I send it out, and it's like showing all the past pictures of everybody having all this fun.
I love it. So you market your birthday party.
I market it majorly, and then they see it and they're like, hell no, I'm not going to that in their head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think of every single thing that would stop somebody from going to a party, and I mention it all. Wear your comfiest sweats if you want. You don't have to wear, because people a lot of times won't go somewhere because they don't have something to wear. Mm-hmm. So you say, you can wear comfy, dirty sweats, or you can wear a pretty nightgown, So they're like, oh. And then one of the big things is with the party, people are afraid to come by themselves. So I always write, if you have a fun friend, bring her, and then people come and bring a friend. They don't feel weird. And then they still say, I'm not going to go to that damn thing. But then 2 weeks prior, I put out funny little promos for it, and people
Mm-hmm.
start talking about it. Are you going to go? Are you going to go? Are you going to go? Goes all around the city and the neighborhood. And then everyone's like, well, she's going. I'm going to go. People show up.
So you have a whole you have like an actual campaign. You have
I have
strategy.
full on insane, crazy. It's like junk food, dancing in your pajama, and then confetti comes down on the dance floor, and fake dollar bills rain down. Like it's, I literally have pictures
And
of people going
everyone cheered like the
into confetti.
DJ. The DJ's pumping his hands in the air.
It is
Yay!
wild. And
Boosh,
then the
tika, boosh,
next
tika,
day, a
boosh,
whole
tika, boosh.
cleaning crew comes and cleans up all that confetti and all those. Anyway, whatever. But it's very different because in the 70s and 80s, a typical birthday party, and you know what? These were even more fun, would be my mom makes me a cake, a box mix. And by the way, I love a box cake mix. I do not like cakes from the bakery that are refrigerated. I want a box Duncan Hines. I'm good with
Yeah,
it.
those are my favorite cakes
Good
as
with
well.
it. She'd
Yeah.
make me a cake.
What
Say like, do you want
flavor?
yellow?
Oh,
I
okay.
think I liked yellow with chocolate frosting. She'd make
Oh,
you a
yeah.
cake. My mom was into cake baking. It was like a thing in the 70s and 80s, kind of like the pan. She'd get you like the Barbie dress and stick the Barbie in the middle. I think my sister got that. I didn't get that. But one year, my sixth birthday, it was 79 or something. She got me, this is before I realized I didn't like the store cakes. Giant. Now I look at the pictures and I'm like, look at that mess. But it was a giant, like airbrushed cake with little plastic Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs figures.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
had a little rager in the backyard. Tamar was there, Liz and Paul were there, Nathan and Daniel were there. They were all there, and we ran around, and the parents barbecued, and everybody brought you one present. That was your birthday.
And did you have a baby shower, like have a present opening ritual ceremony type
I
thing?
seriously don't remember that. I know you're kind of not supposed to do that because, I mean,
Because
at
the
a
poor
party, because
kid might have brought you a crappy
yeah, it's
gift.
just uncomfortable. I don't remember opening anything in front of people, but that was the big party. But after that, every year, you'd get your cake, you'd get your one present from the fam, and mine was like a Hello Kitty backpack or something. And that was it. And it wasn't some big thing typically. I had maybe one or two parties. It was typically family and the cake. You blow out the candles. What about you?
Well, um, I too would have chosen yellow cake with chocolate frosting because I think that's
Hmm.
just a classic,
It's
right?
a good combo. It's not too
Yeah.
much chocolate.
Um, but I don't really remember a whole lot of my birthdays. Now, I did have some rituals where my dad's mom, who we called Oma and called my dad's father Opa,
And are
so
these the Polish grandparents?
no, this is the Scottish and German side of my
German,
family.
okay.
The Mick and my grandmother.
Ah,
So we called them Oma and Opa. And my Oma was, no lie, a she was like a five-star chef. Like she cooked the most complex, unbelievable, fantastic Sunday dinners. And I've gone to amazing restaurants and never had creme brulee as good as she made it.
creme brulee.
And
That's
she
fancy.
would it was all about beef bourguignon and this, that, and the other. Like even
That
her
is so not
spaghetti sauce.
70s. That is
No, no,
so nice.
no. She was such an amazing cook, and
So
I don't even want to say cook. She was a chef.
she was a
So
chef. No
yeah.
canned vegetable medley from Del Monte
Oh hell
from her.
no. Oh hell no. No, she was very like Julia Child. She made those kinds of meals, like just complicated
Beautiful.
stuff, but you could pull it off. And
So
so
beautiful.
and my brother's birthday was February 9th, and my birthday is February 21st.
Mm-hmm.
So, the weekend in the middle, wherever that fell, we would have like a joint birthday party, and my Oma she would make some fabulous meal and a delicious homemade cake. She made the homemade cake.
This is so lovely.
Yeah, like there was no Duncan Hines in her house. But it was really cool, and I would it was all about me, which I loved, and the whole.
But was it though? Because it was a combo with your brother.
Well, it was, yeah, it was about us, which was fine. But I mean, as opposed to like the grown-ups,
Okay.
talking all their stuff, it was more like, oh, and queen for a day kind of thing. Like we were all special, and then we would get to open a gift, and that was great. But
What was one of the gifts that you remember being like, wow?
um, I just
It's
I
gonna dawn on you.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I remember Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
Um, but the only kind of gift I can report is that ever since I was 6 years old, I was a huge hockey fan.
Hockey.
Oh, I loved hockey. And my
Oh.
dad would take me to a Buffalo Sabres game right around my birthday, whichever one fell closest to my birthday, because he had season tickets. And it was usually the Hartford Whalers, which they don't exist anymore. I think they're the Carolina Panthers now.
Wow.
Um, I'm sorry, the Carolina Hurricane. Yeah, I could be wrong about that. But anyway, so yeah, and I had a crush on Ron Francis of the Hartford
Ooh, I have to
Whalers.
Google him.
OMG, what a dreamboat. Number 10.
Ron
So, yeah,
Francis.
so dad would take me to the Hartford Whalers game, and then afterward, we would go to Friendlies. And it was fun
Oh,
because it was late,
friendly.
right? Now, I'd stay up late on a school night. Um, so that was fun. But I don't remember my birthday parties. I don't remember any of that
Did you
stuff.
have parties or
No,
you
I don't
don't?
think so because I don't remember. There was one time, I think it was my 8th birthday, um, where I did have a slumber party, and oh yeah, that's Ron Francis,
He's adorable.
right? Y'all,
Still. Oh my gosh, he
Google
is
Ron
gorgeous.
Francis. Back in the day, I mean, he's probably still handsome, but back in the
He is
day,
so cute.
he was a dreamboat. So, yeah, so my mom did have a slumber party for me. And
How Brady Bunch. That's so Marcia.
yeah, and it wasn't a rager. It was,
Well, you were a kid.
I mean, it just
Now, did you play those slumber party games like with the?
stiff as a board, light as a feather. No, not that time. I don't
I
know.
love that you call it stiff as a board, light as a feather, because we call it light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Oh, East Coast, West Coast, right?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that is
Mm-hmm.
interesting. No, I remember we played some games like it wasn't like Duck Duck Goose, right? We were too old for that, but it was stuff like that. And I
Uh-huh.
think we got a pizza. Mom got a pizza, which when you were a kid, that was like a huge treat.
Such a treat.
Yeah,
Such a treat. And I feel like at that age, hide and seek was kind of big because you could play that till you were a little bit older. I recall playing
yeah,
the hide
yeah.
and seek.
And remember, my birthday's in February, right? So in Buffalo,
Oh,
February
so it
is
was
like
very
freezing.
cold.
Yeah. My dream when I was a kid, I always wanted to have a birthday at Great Games, the video arcade.
Ooh.
Because for my birthday, I just wanted to pump quarters into, 5 different video games, which I did actually bring that dream to fruition. Oh, but 5 years ago, as a grown up.
Really?
Yeah, I had a couple of friends here, and they're like, "Oh, well, what do you want to do for your birthday?" I'm like, "You know what? I want to go to Dave and Buster's,
Thank you.
right? And I'm going to put
Thank you.
$40 on that card, and I'm going to spend it all in the Star Wars TIE Fighter Simulator and House of the Dead shooting zombies. Like,
House of the Dead shoot. I recall a birthday of yours, maybe 20 years ago, where I was wearing, because I found the pictures, I was wearing some kind of one-shouldered jeweled top, and I was at the Beverly Hilton or something, and it was your birthday, and you were wearing a crown that said happy birthday, and you had a boa
yeah,
around your neck. Whoa, that was pretty fabulous,
that
no?
was a fun birthday. But again, a grown up birthday.
A
Like,
grown-ass woman's birthday. But where were we? We were like a Copacabana looking
yeah,
place.
it was some It was a disco party, a disco thing, I remember, because I was wearing a lavender satin,
You
like,
were wearing
bell
something.
sleeve shirt or
I
some
was
crazy thing.
what I was wearing something very circa 2001 because that's when I recalled there was all these one-sided, one bare-shouldered shirts. But
Yeah.
you and I apparently were having this grand time at some ballroom in Beverly Hills. I feel like it was glamorous.
Well, it was. That was fun. And I remember my other friend Amy was there. Shout out Amy. Karen was there. That was a good time. I think we had fun. But you know, I think my mom she she isn't somebody that's always making everything fun, you know? Like I'm that way. I no
Mm-hmm.
matter what we do, like I want to make it fun. I want to, and you are that way. Like you're my hero in that area. You can take a nothing day and suddenly make it all seem worth. Like you can take some boring thing and then you add like balloons and cupcakes and all of a sudden it's like this, you know,
I love
super
to
fun time.
anticipate the needs of my guests.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're a killer hostess for sure.
Thank
Yeah, and my mom was a wonderful hostess, but not not the fun hostess. Like she would have, well, here's your all right, ladies, the pizza's here. Okay, everybody come on over and sit down and have the pizza. And like I would have to go and put on the stereo because
Uh-huh.
there's how weird a party is when there's no music.
It's
Like everyone's
so
just sitting there eating.
weird.
Yeah, so I'd put on Sean Cassidy or whatever it was, or put a disco, and then all of a sudden the party started to come to life, and mom, I think it was just such a pain for her. I don't know. I don't think she
Well,
really.
it's hectic. It's hectic to throw a kid's party.
Yeah, yeah, and like Party City didn't exist when I was little, but if it did, mom would not have been the mom to go to Party City and get a bunch of stuff. Like she might have gone
Mm-hmm.
to the dollar store and oh, I'll get a couple of things. But yeah, that just wasn't mom's milieu, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and dad, I mean, I was super excited about the hockey game, so that was fun. And as I got older, it became all about a Styx show. Was Styx playing somewhere on my birthday, near my birthday, and then I would seek that out. But yeah, I don't know. I was not I would go to other kids' birthday parties and
So what was a typical 70s party that you would attend?
um well, if it was a house party at another kid's house, it was very raucous, right? Like there'd be a lot of like ah, blah, 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 like just yelling all the time, yelling and yelling, and lots of food, like cupcakes. Cupcakes were a big thing. Cupcakes were everywhere,
They're so
and
delightful.
yeah, and like crepe paper streamers,
Love
balloons.
those.
Balloons were a big deal. But mostly I recall birthdays being at Chuck E. Cheese or some type of I remember one kid I knew had the birthday at the roller rink and that's all I
Ooh,
wanted. Like my
yes.
dream was to have my birthday at the roller rink.
Uh-huh.
Which I did not get that dream. So,
Well, you and I went roller skating once. Was
oh
that not a
yeah.
birthday?
I don't know if that was a birthday.
I don't think it
Where was
was.
that, in Burbank?
I don't know, but I just remember you and I did all of these themed things. It would be like a Wednesday, and there are you and I in pink cat eye glasses with ascots and roller skates. I look at these pictures. I'm like, well, what was the occasion? I think it was just a Tuesday.
Right. Well, see, but that's you, Aim. Like that's your,
I
and
don't know
I'm
about that because
I'm
I wouldn't have
down.
thought the roller rink, but I remember we did Jello shots and they weren't ours, so somebody brought them. I don't
Um,
know.
yeah,
I think
and there was a
we just had a
bowling
lot of fun.
incident. There was a bowling incident too.
That was the bowling one.
Right, right,
Yes.
where we and our fellow quote unquote very famous deli servers, um, we all dressed up in like vintage bowling outfits.
That's right.
Yeah, like I think mine said Betty or something on it, and we like got, adult beverages and went and bowled and
Were
didn't.
you there for the singing of the "We Are the World" to the corporate offices of a very famous deli?
No, I
This
wasn't.
is right before I think they fired me after this.
Ah,
So there was a Christmas party. This is a little segue. Christmas party at a bowling alley. Joel and I decided, let's make a song that we all sing and we all have our own parts like We Are the World.
okay.
But all of our parts were just ragging on, we never have soup bowls. It was just like this. We were just ragging like on all of the faults of the restaurant. And we sang the whole thing, and corporate was like kind of going like this at first. And then they started like, what the? And we were like,
Then they started to get
lend a
offended.
helping hand. But yeah. And then we all held up signs as we were singing, and it said all the quotes that the customers would say. Anyway, yeah, big trouble.
Where are my pickles? Can I have more
That was one of them.
pickles?
That was one of them.
We need another thing of pickles.
There
Oh
was
my God, it was all about the
definitely,
pickles.
yeah, it was grand. We sat down and wrote this whole thing out. Somebody's like, I want to be Bruce Springsteen. I want to be Willie Nelson. It was pretty grand. But back to birthdays.
And if you just believe, you can get coffee cups on a Sunday morning.
Wow, 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 wow. That's never gonna happen.
The
I,
shake machine is broken. No,
exactly.
not really. We just don't want to make you a shake.
We just fucking lie. What if we harmonize that together, you and I? We just fucking lied. We can't go on with this bullshit management. I'm gonna recreate this song on the fly. I'm tearing up.
We hate this
Sir.
job. We
And the
hate the
cooks are high on
customers.
drugs. Yeah.
We
Shirley's
don't
gonna
want to bring you more of anything. Here's your
Yeah.
damn ranch. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care if your eggs aren't hot enough. Okay,
That's right.
we have to cut all that out. Okay.
No, I'm sorry, but I love that. We've got to keep that in, everybody. I know it's about 70s birthdays, but a little segue of "We Are the World" sung in a deli doesn't that match or no?
Well, I think it's always appropriate to deal with the trauma of that job and with humor.
It
So
was our core trauma that brought us together.
that's true. That's
So
true.
I find it very relevant in our
Right?
relationship.
Yeah. I mean, you
But
know,
back to the parties, what I recall about parties as a child was the simplicity of it. And now, and I kind of hate when people are like, oh, well, now you got to have a bounce house. You don't. You
bounce
could still
house.
do.
Yeah, that would never have happened at my house. No
I
way.
mean, now there are elaborate birthdays for kids. My child is aged out of that whole thing, but we'd go to parties. There'd be a giant inflatable water slide in the backyard. Like, this is how it is now.
Hmm.
Or everybody gets a favor bag that's themed, and there's a lot more things for sale that you could make a party better in the defense of yesteryear's parents. And also there's certain people have more money and they can make it more elaborate. And the girls, I had a boy, but the girls had fairy parties and mermaid parties and unicorn parties. I've been to some birthday parties with my son where there was ponies and a petting zoo. It gets pretty crazy. But I feel like I feel like I like the feeling of the crepe paper and the balloons and the pointy hats. So
Yeah.
I always bought that kind of stuff for my boy, and those little blower things,
Right.
whatever those are.
Little
And
those things.
I always kind of kept it to that and just put out a giant bar of help yourself candy, like way too much candy,
Yeah.
and let them run around and act crazy. I like the vintage feel of a birthday.
I agree. I have to agree because but you need a certain. I mean, to me, the deciding factor is color. Like,
Hmm.
life could be life is like beige or taupe or whatever, and your birthday should be like an explosion of kaleidoscope color. And
Exactly.
so what do? You get the cake, and actually my grandma Helen used to
Hmm.
always make me a cake for my birthday.
Lovely.
Yeah. And it was a strawberry cake
Oh,
with strawberry
lovely.
frosting,
Did she
which
put rosettes on it? Remember when you were a kid and you wanted the flower, like the big frosting flower?
no, she did not. It was just a simple pancake, right? But it was so
Beautiful.
good. To this day, my favorite cake is like a Duncan Hines strawberry cake, which of course I can't eat anymore, with strawberry frosting, and that was fun. Uh, I think my grandparents were a little more into it, and it just wasn't. It wasn't the watershed in my childhood year that I wanted it to be, So I don't know. Maybe that's why now I'm not one of those people who's like, by the way, and I don't celebrate my birthday all month or whatever. I just kind of let it go. It's like, oh yeah, it's my birthday. So,
I always felt kind of a little. I would say I was too shy to have. My mom probably. My sister had a couple of slumber parties, and I was always a little bit too shy to have a party when I was a preteen.
hmm
So I would ask, "Can I just have one friend and we go somewhere?" I never really had parties as a kid. I had that one when I was 6, and just family. All the other ones, I didn't want. I felt like that felt like pressure to me.
hmm
And I'd attend other birthdays and I'd feel slightly uncomfortable, at the miniature golf and it just looked hectic and scary and weird. And I kind of didn't really want that, to be honest. But so you did? You wished you did have a party?
well, I think I wanted the spotlight.
You
Um,
did? See, I felt
yeah.
uncomfortable.
Well, I wanted to feel special, I guess, or something. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I can't remember these things. I mean, maybe my parents would be like, "Are you kidding? Remember that time we rented an airplane?" Or
Sure, sure. This is just
I
us
don't
trying to
know, but
remember.
I just don't. I don't remember. I remember that one slumber party, and then I remember the dinners at my Oma and Opa's and my grandma. But and of course, I always here's where I cleaned up was
Hmm.
Oma and Opa and Grandpa and Grandma Helen and Bill and Helen.
Hmm.
They would send me a card, and it would have cash money, like,
Really?
and a lot of cash. Like when I was a kid, I'd get like $50 for my
What would you
birthday.
buy with it?
Oh, I would hoard it.
You'd
And
hoard it?
then, yeah, and then at some point, um, I would use that when my mom dropped me off at the mall, or if Karen and I got together on the weekend or something, and we would ride a bike up to something or go get candy, or that was my pocket money, I guess, because I didn't really get an
Wow.
allowance. But yeah, I cleaned up in the cash department. I cannot complain there. I definitely scored. There was one thing my ritual my parents had, which they would take me to dinner, and it was my choice of restaurant. And I would always pick Red Barn, which was like a hamburger fast food place. But they had a sundae bar. Like you
Ooh.
made your own sundae. So
So what
you
flavor ice cream would you pick for this
Okay,
Sunday?
so I would pick vanilla ice cream,
Vanilla.
a small little glob of it because it was soft. It was like soft serve.
Oh, okay. Go
So I
on.
would get a little bit of soft serve, and then I would drown it in caramel sauce, and hot fudge sauce, and then maybe throw some Spanish peanuts in there, and that was
Ooh.
my sundae. So I would just eat like typical, a bowl of sugar, and
Yeah.
and a hamburger and fries and a Coke. That was my. I don't know why I loved Red Barn so much. It was like my
What
big
was the
thing.
theme? Did it look cool or was
Yeah,
it
it looked like a big red barn. Yeah, it was
it
like
looked
a
like a big red barn. So
yeah.
it attracted you as a kid somehow. Well, probably the Sunday is what did it, no?
Yeah, and it was just sort of a fun atmosphere. There was another fun restaurant that we've talked about before,
Mm.
which we had on the East Coast called the Ground Round, where they had
Brown.
like
Yeah.
they played like old silent movies, and it was like throw the peanut shells on the floor and that kind of thing. Um,
Anything with a theme, like you said, anything that's different than the beige every day is a treat,
right,
you know?
right, yeah, and the people, there was a lot of like red and white stripes everywhere, and that
Ooh,
kind
I
of
like
stuff.
that.
So
That's
the
kind of a
checkered
fun.
tablecloths. Yeah, it was a fun. That was a fun place, but yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't. When I got older, my dad he would give me a beautiful bracelet, or a ring or
How
something like that.
lovely. He gave you
Yeah,
jewelry.
yeah, he gave me
How
beautiful, beautiful
sweet.
jewelry, which was really fun. And I guess, yeah, I can't explain it. I just I'm reaching and I'm searching in my mind like what was the deal with my birthdays? But my brother didn't have uh crazy birthdays either. It was like I said, we would kind of like the last his last birthday. Um, I remember we went to Red Lobster and my oma and my dad and my grandfather had passed away. My opa had passed away by then, but and couple of family members. We had like a joint birthday at Red Lobster for us. But yeah, I don't know. It
Yeah.
wasn't really a huge thing. But I in the 70s, okay,
Mm-hmm.
there was this thing that people used to do um, for muscular dystrophy, raising money. Did you have these things where it was like a kit, a birthday kit, and you would send away or for this, kit, and it was like funny little masks and little things and I don't know, maybe a puppet show, all, just cardboard stuff. And it was like basically a fundraiser. So you would have a kid's birthday party and then I don't know, parents and kids, they'd all raise money for it. And so
That's a great
yeah,
idea.
you would turn your birthday into like a fundraiser for muscular dystrophy. But I remember we never did it, but I used to see these kits advertised all the time. Yeah, and
I want to look that up. That is so interesting.
yeah. So, but I want to know. Okay, so you have these wild and crazy slumber parties now, these ragers.
Not anymore. I haven't in the past 3 years. I just cannot drink anymore, so I just haven't.
That's a
But I
choice.
had a giant toga party once. I think my 40th birthday was a toga party with like Greek, everything was gold, and I had these giant cardboard pillars in the living room, and everybody was wearing togas. It was crazy.
I love it. I love it.
And then I've done a lot of different themes, but for some reason, the pajama party was best because it wasn't mixed couples. It was just the girls.
Yeah.
And it was always far more wild because when you're with your partner, you have to kind of talk to other couples and make sure he's not bored and blah blah blah. But when I just got the females and their girlfriends, it would just go off.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they need to cut loose, right?
They needed to
yeah.
cut loose,
Yeah.
and it was just fun.
But
But what was your question?
Well, my question was, do you think it's making up for not really having those ragers when you were a little kid or something? Do you think
No,
that
because
there's
I
a compensation?
no, because I didn't really like to be in the spotlight as a kid, and it kind of embarrassed me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not something I feel like I lacked whatsoever. I loved my gifts. I always got a really great one gift. I got like my strawberry shortcake, strawberry bake shop, some beautiful thing, just one thing, but it
Right.
was always something I really, really loved, and I was okay with it. I never felt that I missed out on birthday celebrations whatsoever.
Okay. We're just gonna stand by for 1 second because Kilroy has now climbed on my shoulder. Okay.
That looks
There we go.
painful. Okay,
Good
there you
boy.
go.
Good boy. No, he's like, are you gonna give me a snack? Nope. Yeah, that was painful. Yeah. So, well, the Chuck E. Cheese experience that I always wanted,
Hmm.
I would imagine for parents that's got to be hell on earth. So I don't blame my parents for never indulging me in the Chuck E. Cheese birthday party. I mean, on the one hand, it's great because like you don't have to clean up, and
Well, now it's great, and I'll tell you why. Now it's great because the kids get a wristband or a hand stamp and they lock them in Chuck E. Cheese. And now, because the Chuck E. Cheese in the days of yore, is that a word? Of the days of yonder? No, the
yeah, days of yore.
days past. I recall many different tunnels and different rooms, and it was so dark, and you kind of didn't know where you were at some of these Chuck E. Cheeses that I
Mm-hmm.
went to in the valley. The Chuck E. Cheese out in my neck of the woods now, you can see the whole entire place. It's one big room. It's got partitions, but you see the whole place. They lock it so you can't get out anywhere. Your kid can't escape. And then there's tables, and they serve wine now, if I'm not
Oh.
mistaken. And the moms sit at a table, the kids are locked in, and the kids are running around acting like maniacs, and you're just sitting at a table. If you can deal with the noise, it's
Hmm.
actually
Oh
it's
yeah, that
actually not as stressful as you would think.
that sounds manageable. But
Yes.
as you said, like back in the day, the Chuck E. Cheese other kids' birthdays I went to, oh my
Scary.
gosh.
It
Well, they were
sounded
very
scary.
dark, first of all.
Very
Like
dark.
it was
There's
like an
always
arcade,
yeah, and
right?
then you got these big guys singing with these big eyeballs. My
Right,
sister
the
was always
big
afraid of those.
mechanical,
And it was a
things.
little bit scary back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah,
Slight
I hear that. I hear that. But I also remember the pizza being very good. I
mhm.
remember one time, now maybe I was just hungry, but I
Right. Well, you're
remember
a kid,
one
you know.
kid's birthday I went to, and it took a long time for the pizza, and they had kind of a lame cake, like they had a store
Right.
bought, cake with the whey sugar puff frosting and everything, and I was starving, and they finally brought
Hmm.
out the pizza, and it was really hot and cheesy and saucy and good. So that was always my recollection. And I imagine, me asking my mom, like, oh, can we have a Chuck E. Cheese party? And her just being like, no. So we'll just get a pizza here, or something like that. So I don't think, I don't think I, but it was always chaos, like just, a mess. And everyone had food all over their faces and their hands, and
Oh, it
everything
was
was dirty
crazy.
and sticky. Just,
Well, every birthday when you have a kid, the kid ends up crying on his own birthday, and you have to know. And the Berenstain Bears even had a book on this, and this is what always made me feel better. The Berenstain Bears always had these books like Too Much TV or Bully, School Bully, whatever.
right.
There's one called Too Much Birthday, and it has Sister Bear going, "Ah." And I saw that and I went, okay, it's a thing. It's a thing. So basically, they eat so much sugar and there's so many kids and it's just so hectic. They end up crying every single time. I didn't get enough candy in the pinata or just whatever.
Right.
And you have to prepare yourself that they're going to cry because it's too much.
There's two oh, see, well, I could handle my sugar as a kid, I
Well, all
mean,
that is quick. I mean,
yeah, I could listen. I could eat 6 pieces of cake and still drive home, okay? So I could handle my sugar. But yeah, there's a lot of emotions too, um because you also had like in the group there was always that couple of kids that you didn't really want to invite but you had to,
oh, well,
and they were jealous or
that's
nasty or bullies.
exactly right. There's always a couple kids that were invited because your parents were friends with them. And
Yeah, yeah.
like, I hate that kid. The kid's a brat. And that kid kind of hated your guts too. And they'd be like, they break your toy that you just got or whatever.
Right. Or God forbid it was like the in school they would sometimes do special things. Like I remember in first grade, I was in Catholic school then, and whenever it was a kid's birthday, they called you the VIP that
How
day. You were the
cute.
very important person, and they made you like this little medal thing, that you'd wear, and it was kind of a big deal
That's
to
so
you,
cute.
yeah. And I do remember. So let's see that I don't know, 6 or 7 years old, I guess. I can't remember how old I was in first grade, but that was the one when one time we went to Red Barn for dinner. My mom and my dad, my brother had not been born yet, so
Uh-huh.
yeah, so I must have been 6. So they took me to Red Barn, and I wore the VIP thing
Of course you
because I
did.
just thought I was so. I mean, I thought the whole world knew what this VIP handmade medallion thing hanging on like a piece of string meant. And
That's
so,
so
yeah,
cute.
I walked into Red Barn like I was Madonna, and everyone was looking at me and thinking I was so special.
That is so cute. My birthday always fell during the first week of school. So a lot
Ah,
of times, and I always was switching schools, so I wouldn't be able to bond with these kids enough to like have people to invite really.
yeah.
My sister's birthday fell at the end of the year and she had formed a bunch of friendships and she'd always have a bunch of people over. Or maybe I was more antisocial, but I always felt a little hesitant to be like, hey, want to come to my party on the very first day of school or the first week. That was another reason why I didn't really want to, and I also didn't feel like I had enough people from
Mhm.
school at least that I wanted
Yeah.
to come.
Yeah, I think that's another factor too. I I wasn't really the kid who had like 1,000 friends. I had a handful of really tight besties. And
Same. I had a lot of family friends, but the school kids, there were some shady people at my school. I was not loving the school kids.
yeah, I plus we lived way back in the woods, so
Mm.
for a while until junior high. So I didn't have a neighborhood, and there were some parents who would not allow their kids to come visit me because we lived on like a quarry, which was essentially a small lake. And the parents literally were like, they just thought because we lived in the middle of the woods on this lake that somebody was going to fall into the lake or whatever. But I was like, okay. Yeah. So,
You're like, maybe it's true.
yeah, I mean,
I don't
only
know.
my besties would come like on a one-on-one kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I do remember having fun at that one slumber party, which yeah, I think that was my 8th birthday, and um, I remember being surprised. There were like 3 really popular girls that I invited, and I thought for sure they were not going to show. They were going to decline, and they came. I
Are
was
these the girls who had the
shocked.
matching turtlenecks and the corduroys?
No, I didn't know those girls yet.
Oh, that was in middle school and high school.
Right, right.
Right. Okay.
And those girls, um, I never got invited to those parties, but
Hmm.
I was just too nerdy or whatever. But in grammar school, yeah, the it wasn't quite so clicked out yet in
Mm-hmm.
grammar school. Like I guess we hadn't really figured out, there
The
wasn't.
hierarchy of people
Yeah, the
yet.
hierarchy. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. We
Mm.
hadn't figured that stuff out, and everyone, like, I was a very tomboyish and playing in the dirt and climbing trees and all that. And once you get that puberty or pre-puberty split off, where some of the girls then became girly, like I was still climbing trees and catching
Exactly.
salamanders. Yeah. So
Yes, we've talked about this.
right,
Part of the girls start liking boys, and they actively kind of recruit the other girls that want to talk about boys.
right.
And then there's the other half of the girls feel weird about it and don't want to talk about it yet, and they kind of stay over there. That's what I've
Yeah, or
noticed.
or we're just trying to develop ourselves,
Hmm.
like I was always the girl that was not trying to develop myself in relation to a boy. Like I wanted to
Hmm.
just develop independently. And I think well that's another thing though is like co-ed birthday parties. Did you ever have any kind of experience with that when you were a kid?
Yes, we had close friends that were boys, and they were always at our birthdays. But they were like my brothers.
Mhm.
But when I hit teenage years, no, I never had. I think I threw a giant. Well, it wasn't for my birthday. I didn't start throwing giant rager parties till I was, I don't know, 19.
Yeah.
Then,
Then it was like
then the cops are at the door and they're charging people at the door, and people are rolling down the mountain on the side of the house, like just out of control.
yeah.
But no, I didn't have any co-ed parties. I immediately got weird, around boys. Like, I couldn't talk around boys when second I turned 12, I was like Igor. It's
I was
like,
the total opposite. I was the buddy. I was the girl that you could punch in the side of the arm. Like I was really, and I would hear about all these pretty girls from the boys, right? Like, and they were talking to me like I was one of them. Which yeah, that set off a whole interesting dynamic as I got older.
mm-hmm.
But we should talk about the most famous birthday party ever, which
Hmm.
is the 16 Candles movie, right?
Oh,
Where
right.
where everybody forgets Samantha's birthday. Cuz I could sort of relate to that. Like my parents, as I recall, never forgot my birthday, but they just
Mhm.
didn't make a huge deal out of it.
What was your
Um
worst birthday back then?
when I was a kid,
Or just any time, like, you know,
um
like maybe the year your parents kind of forgot your birthday.
well, I I don't know. They were all just kind of flatlined, right? Like one doesn't stand out as the worst. Probably
Really? Okay.
when my parents split up right around my birthday, so that was probably the worst.
Ouch.
Yeah, I
That's
was probably 11.
awful.
Yeah,
11 or
that
12.
sucked. That was brutal.
Oh,
But my dad and I still went to the Hartford Whalers game that year,
okay.
so that was
I'm
nice.
glad that he was dedicated to taking you to see that hot guy. What was his name? Something Francis or
Ron
something? Ron Francis?
Francis, I'm telling you,
Ran
Google
Francis.
Google him, man. What a
I just,
babe.
yeah, he
What
is
a
a babe.
babe. Yeah, he was a great forward too.
It's a great forward. I do recall my worst birthday slightly. I was turning 19 or 18, sorry, turning 18. It was the last time I went out to dinner with family. My dad was
Oh,
gone. My mom hated my guts. I was renting a room from her, and I think she did one last shot at trying to be nice. I don't know, maybe it's like the last 18th birthday, like, whatever. We go out. I think we went out to like Sizzler or something because I loved that
Sizzler.
cheese bread. I thought it was fine dining. And she invited my grandmother and my grandmother's new husband, who was like this awful guy who just drank Southern Comfort all day and like was just totally rude.
Nice.
And we went to, they used to come to the famous deli, everybody listening out there, when they knew I was already off work. Like I'd get off at 1 and they'd come in at 2. And one time I stayed and covered a shift and my grandma was like, "What are you doing here?" And she was all sad that I was there. I was so hurt.
Wait,
And he was ordering Southern Comforts, by the way.
I need to interrupt for 1 second though. What was your grandmother's husband wearing on your
This
18th birthday night
son of a
out?
bitch was wearing like this button up collared shirt. He had his hair slicked back. You could just tell he was a douche. And he hated our guts. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, he wouldn't speak to me during my birthday dinner and he was like, "Tell her that he was just so rude."
Oh
And
my
nobody
gosh.
talked to me. Nobody spoke to me. My sister felt bad for me. And she's like, "So, how are you?" Like they all wouldn't even make eye contact with me. And I didn't
So
and I was
it
thinking
was
like,
like a send off,
it
basically.
was basically like, "Bitch, we don't ever want to
Yeah.
speak to you again. Be gone."
Like you're 18, we're
It
done.
was really sad, and I didn't really notice it, but my sister noticed it. And later she's like, "Nobody even looked at you or talked to you." And I was like,
Oh.
"Oh, really?" I kind of was like, I don't know. But the year after that, I made up for it by throwing giant ragers
Mhm.
and trying to forget all about my pain and sorrow.
Okay, so
But yeah,
that's probably where that's where the slumber
well,
party
there you
stuff comes
go.
in,
We
right? Okay.
uncovered, we
Yeah.
uncovered why I need all the love.
Now here we have the breakthrough
We've
now.
uncovered
We
that
have
shit.
the
Yes,
moment of clarity.
the
Yeah, I
18th
I
birthday
went
sent
the
off.
other
You're
way though.
right.
Like or I guess I don't know. Ah, I, maybe I just need to like talk about birthdays in therapy or something because
Listen, went to a birthday of yours where I had never seen anything like it. It was one of the only times I have been completely wrong about a time. I think you said 7 and I arrived promptly at 8:50
was
or
that the
something, or I
disco
thought I
one?
was early.
Was that the
No,
disco
you
one?
were at a table. Everybody listen to this. I show up to this birthday and I hadn't seen Robbie in a couple years. I show up, she's holding court in the middle of kind of a darkened restaurant, and you had people all around the table and you were going around the table talking about how you knew each person and what they meant to you, and you were like, and I came up and I didn't have a chair and I was like, "Oh shoot, she's got all these friends," and she's like honoring each person.
I
Might have been
have
in
zero
or
recollection of
something.
this.
And I couldn't believe I had
Was I
gotten the time
drunk?
so
I don't
wrong.
remember any
No,
of
you're
this.
well spoken. And I'm like, wow, she's just speaking off the cuff. Yeah, you did throw yourself a birthday once and you invited like, I'd say 15 people. And I would say it was either in Pasadena, Santa Monica, somewhere nice. You were working for
No, it wouldn't have
a
been. It
PR
wouldn't
firm.
have been Pasadena. I didn't know Pasadena, but
Well, you were working for a PR firm and you had a good 10, 15 people at this party, everybody. So
Once
we'll remember
again,
this later. We'll
I
talk about it.
don't remember. I don't
You know
remember
what? I
that
will do a
birthday.
search in my email and find the email where you said, "Hey, come to this thing."
You know what? Please do,
Okay.
because now I'm like, okay, maybe my parents did throw me these Chuck E. Cheese things, and I just don't remember. I mean, maybe I, all the concussions I've had in my life, I don't know.
No, you remember because you remember everything about your childhood.
Well, I don't remember having a birthday party where you showed
You
up
had,
late.
listen, you didn't have good birthdays when you were a kid. That's it. And you know what? A lot of our parents, it just wasn't a thing to them, and then they didn't see it as,
Yeah, well, that's very true. Like, I
yeah,
gotta say
wasn't.
that neither one of my parents, I mean, my mom would make a big deal if you forgot her birthday, but, I don't think my mother in a million years would throw herself a party, and my dad, he's just like, it's like, hey, what are you gonna do for your birthday? I don't know. Like
Mm.
it's not a huge, thing for them, and you know what? And I'll tell you what a consequence of all this is. I am terrible at remembering people's birthdays. I
Yeah, but how could
am
you say that? Don't you have
terrible
a
at it.
calendar that you write this all on, or
No,
your
I
phone?
don't. I don't.
What?
And I always feel really bad about it because like, I do the forehead smack like, "Oh my god, yesterday was so and so's birthday." Like I know I'll remember the dates most of the time, not even all
I
the
have it
time.
all mapped out on a paper giant
See,
calendar years in
you
advance.
got to
I
teach
have
me how
this
to do that.
mapped out. You just grab a pen, literally a pen and a big giant binder that has a calendar in it. And every year, when you get the calendar in January, December, you
Mhm.
fill it out with all the birthdays. And then on the side of the thing where there's just memo, where it says memo,
Yeah.
you
Or
write the
notes.
names for each month. You put a little box next to it. And when I order the gift, check off box. Do it a little bit in
Wow.
advance. Been doing this for many years.
You are like a birthday ninja. Like that's serious. I wish I.
I mean, not everybody does things for their birthdays, but certain nieces and nephews, and I don't do some huge thing each time, but
No, but it's really nice that you remember
and
and
there's some people that don't want to be put on the spot to do it back for you. Like you don't even want it, but they feel like, oh God, no, I gotta do something for you. There's people that I keep at arm's length because they don't want to be troubled with reciprocating, and they're hectic, and I kind of like leave them alone, but I still wish them a happy birthday. I do it differently for different birthdays, but
yeah. It's a
it can be
science.
done.
You have it down.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I just kind of forget about it all and I don't know what day it is half the time and I'm like, "Oh,
Oh, I look at a calendar 3, 4 times a day. I stand over it. I've got highlighters and like I do. I have
that's
a
so
such a
you."
mapped out everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like I feel in order.
Well, yeah, I'll have to take the Skillshare birthday class that you offer,
Yeah.
right? Like
Uh-huh.
I got to get better at it but I conversely, if people forget my birthday, I am zero offended. Like,
No, you never care.
it's like, "Oh, all right, whatever." I don't care.
Right. I don't care if people remember my birthday either, to be honest. I don't really want anything or like I don't know. It's not. I never take that as a. I think maybe that one year when my family like wanted nothing to do with me, that probably hurt my feelings. But I don't. I don't expect some big thing.
Mhm. I do have a dream.
You do,
Yeah. Because my dream birthday when I was a kid was at the roller rink.
right?
Um, I do have a dream of having a rager grown up roller rink birthday.
That would be so fun. We
Eh,
would break our legs.
Right? And I even have the the flyer and the invite in my head and it would be called Robbie's Skatie's birthday party. Like SK with the 80 and then S, Skaties. And it would be this whole 80s themed birthday party
Wow.
and I would make the DJ it would just be a fun like party, but then there would be one moment where it would be my special birthday skate and he would play Xanadu.
Wow.
That is that is my dream,
I see you doing that.
right? at some point.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
I know. I gotta figure that out. Gotta figure that out. But
If I had a birthday that was my ideal birthday, what would I do? I'm like, since you all have asked,
we're
I
asking.
would have giant inflatable, I'd probably do the giant inflatable water slide and like a giant inflatable like electric bull.
Oh,
And like,
really? Okay, so
yeah,
you would go for like the carnival type atmosphere.
yeah, and I would just make it so we couldn't get hurt because we'd fall in the like inflatable vinyl. And maybe it'd be a theme. So you're wearing something that's really so stupid. Oh my gosh, no, you guys, forget what I just said. Scratch that. I remembered what I wanted to do. I want to do a Marie Antoinette. It's so expensive though. A Marie Antoinette party where everyone is wearing giant, big, white powdered wigs, but made out of like foam or paper. Like I'd have to send you a link, like, because I had a Kentucky Derby party a couple years ago, and I could tell people were going to be like, where do I get a hat? So I kept sending out like Amazon has 15.99 hats, and I kept showing like how I made my hat, but everybody came with a big hat, with stuff on. I had birds on mine and all this, but you kind of have to show them where to get their costumes sometimes, or they're like, oh, yeah, I'm not gonna go. Anyway, I picture giant white wigs, really beautiful pastel ruffled dresses, fans,
So
macarons, and champagne.
pre-revolution, obviously.
Is that what it is? Pre-revolution?
I mean pre-French Revolution. So like the let them eat cake.
Versailles.
You'd call it the let them eat birthday cake party.
Oh my gosh. And it would be like, I could just picture everybody raging in those white wigs. That's my next party.
Yeah, and like the beauty mark. Okay, I'm going to that party.
It's
I'm
going to
going to
be
that party.
on my 50th birthday. How old am I? My 50th birthday, a couple years down the line. It's all about let them eat my birthday cake. Wait, that doesn't sound right. Let them eat birthday cake.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, let them eat birthday cake party. Yeah.
Start looking for that wig. Find a foam one so it's not too heavy.
Well, but I would do the thing that I do whenever there's a costume involved, which is, details. Like I'm all about the detail. Every costume I own is elaborate, and I have 6 Halloween costumes,
Same.
and they're all hanging in garment bags. Like
I
it's
love
it's really
costumes.
crazy. So I would probably get like a real powdered wig, and
I would too. Yeah.
yeah, and I would have to rent some kind of crazy hoop skirt thing, and
Like I want it to be where like
corset.
you can't even get in the door. Like I want it to be like you're laughing because you're in because part of the fun of going to these themed parties is when you're driving to the place and you're sober, you're like, what am I doing right now? Like you feel like such an
Right,
idiot. You kind of giggle and you're like nervous.
right.
Like trying to get in the car in your hoop skirt would just be so great. Like you get in the Uber and you can't fit your skirt in. Like I want it to be like that.
Right, like you have to pull all the hoops up.
You have to like duck your big ass wig into the car. You're like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. And there's like glitter everywhere.
Exactly. There's always a couple sequins when I leave.
Right.
On the seat. There's always a couple sequins.
Yeah. Yeah, I often leave a trail of sequins and glitter wherever I go.
Oh,
Yeah.
constantly.
Well, let's make it happening. One
Oh,
day,
you know it
one
will.
day, I will have my Skatie's birthday party, and you will have your Let Them Eat birthday cake birthday parties.
I'm
And
gonna start working on it right now, everybody.
I know. Let's do it. So, we're out of time, as always happens. All good things must come to an end. But I am still. I don't know. This was thought provoking for me.
Hmm.
Like, I need to get to the bottom of my birthday ambivalence. I gotta figure that out. I gotta, like I'm gonna talk to my mom and my dad. I'm gonna ask them what their recollections of my
I cannot wait to
birthdays
hear what they
are.
say. You have to tell
Right?
us.
I
We
know.
want to know. We want to know because we love your parents. You always speak so highly of
Oh,
them
my
and you
parents
love
are
them so much.
wonderful. I love my parents. I love
So
my
this is
parents.
no bash on your parents, but I'm curious also to hear their version of what happened.
Right?
And I know our listeners
My
are
mom would
also
be like, "What are
curious.
you talking about? I had 400 kids at the house that one year." Like
I cannot wait. You've got to ask her right
Okay, so
away.
we've got the magic 8 ball. Before we
Okay.
go, what are we going to ask the magic 8 ball?
Is Robbie forgetting that she had fabulous birthday parties? Had they slipped her mind?
Is my birthday childhood history as I recall?
Okay, fine.
Okay. What does it say? Wait, hold on. I can't see it.
She's like, let me get my readers.
Yeah. As I see it, yes.
Wow.
The magic. Oh, you know what I want to ask it?
What?
Okay, these are two questions.
All
One,
right.
will Amy realize her dream of her let them eat birthday cake party? Okay. Outlook good.
Ooh,
Okay.
sister.
Now,
Mhm.
I'm going to ask it, will I realize my dream of my Skatie's birthday party? Don't count on it.
Stop.
The magic 8 ball has spoken.
I want
See?
to take you to Red Barn. Will you tweet a picture of Red Barn?
Yeah, I will.
Okay,
And
good.
just so everybody knows, if you go to our website, glitterboomgirls.com, there is a picture from the disco birthday party where I have the crown on and I'm wearing the purple satin shirt.
Did you
and all
put that up?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
good.
up. That's up on our
always thought
website.
You didn't put those pictures up. Okay,
No,
I'm glad
they're all up. So yeah, hit us up on Twitter, GlitterBeeGirls, or Instagram, GlitterBeeGirls, and thanks for listening, you guys. We will catch you next time. I'm Robbie
Bye,
McPherson on the East Coast.
And I'm Amy Asbury on the West Coast. Have a great day or night.